I mean, speaking of nasty behavior,
Crazy. Oh, we gonna go to Cuomo? No Cuomo.
no Cuomo.
That could be their title. No
Yeah,
Cuomo.
no Cuomo.
I mean, no, that could be our title. Nah, people are saying no Cuomo now. Like, if I touch you,
Nah, no
like,
Cuomo.
no Cuomo.
No Cuomo. Which
Like,
is
hey, you look cute today. No Cuomo.
which is funny, but
No
not funny
Cuomo.
because
I
like
know.
it highlights just how sick. Like we were just saying, how women deal with the whole other side of life that men just take for granted. But I will say, before you jump in, and guys will talk about this, some women be like doing a lot,
Especially like the grouping,
the touching and like the all that other stuff, like,
and they get away with it.
yeah, like it gets crazy. So it's like,
I mean, I don't know Cuomo personally.
Oh, you don't say. you don't know the Cuoms?
I mean, I like him and his brother are cool. I think what he did for New York, he did a lot of great things. He handled the pandemic well, in my opinion. We live in Jersey, so obviously, we look to Governor Murphy, but obviously, New York at one point was the epicenter of the whole pandemic, to being like, I think, one of the most vaccinated states right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta give him his props.
Everybody want to be outside,
and he's cool. Him and his brother are cool, and honestly, I don't know. I don't like to excuse people and like excuse victims. Like, it's just a hard situation because it is scary out here. Like, a lot of times people do lie, and there are smear campaigns, and like it could have been something. He was paid off. Like, I mean, those girls were paid off to like take him down. But obviously, it's always best to believe the victim. But I will say, like, with him saying how in Italian culture they're very touchy feely. But I don't know, some of the stories, like the girl was like, he put his hand down her spine, like all the way down her spine. That's a little weird. That's not being an Italian touchy-feely, because Italians, what they're known is just the kissing. Like, I've experienced it myself, like the kissing on the cheek, like.
But my thing though is like, even because there's, I mean, if you want to talk about it, there's mad cultural differences between even me being as a black man going into an office where I wouldn't behave a certain way that I would behave in privately. Like, even in the way that I'm speaking right now. Yeah. I don't go in office.
Code switching.
Yeah, like it's like a whole different thing. So like, I can't say that, oh, Italians are like this and it's like that. Okay, that means that it's okay for me to go and touch people at work.
Yeah, because like,
and then what was even crazier about that?
Even the kissing thing. I think that was like the thing they said. Like, even the kissing thing is like, I guess like, I feel like that's really, like, if that's an Italian thing to you, I would hold that back for this family or like a close friend. So it's like, I wouldn't really hold that for like, you're a professional. And like, if you're in that office, like you're a governor of like literally one of like the best states, like one of the most populated, one of the most important states in this country. A lot of eyes are on you, especially during this pandemic. So it's like, when you're in a position like that, I feel you just have to be smart. And you kind of like, he just might have been in his element and felt comfortable, but the putting your finger down somebody's spine in the elevator, in the elevator too, like just like specifically in the private.
And to be clear, I have no issue with Italian culture whatsoever. Like, a lot of like those like Italy and Spain, like they have like just a different culture. They're, and that's perfectly fine.
Touchy feely, very lovey dovey.
No, honestly,
it's like 30 of them live in one house. So
honestly, I love it. Like the idea of family, all that stuff. Yeah. Like, I love it. But when you're in a professional setting, you gotta act accordingly. Like, I could never.
That's true. Like you said, you can't really excuse it. Like, imagine I was going to work like.
Hugging people, yeah, like you
call
can
everybody N-word.
Oh,
like,
gang,
yeah, like when to shut.
Like, I'm not about to go dap up the manager. Like, like we're at work. Like, let's keep it professional. And not only that, you're a politician, which I feel like you're held to even higher standard. Mm-hmm. Like, because there's some places, like when I was working at my previous job, we would go in there. It was like a frat house.
People, and like a lot of these like newer tech companies like Google,
they're like that.
Facebook, yeah. So it's like, like me, I'm in a company that's 100-something years old. I'm not going in there acting a fool, even though things are kind of getting a little more casual as time goes on. But you kind of assimilate to your environment, and I'm sure in the political world, that's not.
There ain't nobody like that.
Not like that. I mean, it depends. They be having their rich people parties, probably wilding out, doing God knows what.
Yeah.
We got the what's his face, Epstein.
Oh yeah,
it probably does get crazy.
It definitely gets crazy.
Bill Clinton and stuff.
And that's where, like, God, I hate when we get on these topics because I could just take it somewhere else. I'm about to take it somewhere crazy. Because the thing is, I think that in the entertainment industry and politics and stuff like that, it's like, and I'm not speaking from my personal experience, but from what people have said and from how I interpret it, is that there's so many, and this is not by any means to put blame on women, but there's a lot of women that are like with the shenanigans because they like men with status and money and power and all this other stuff, so that like these governors or politicians or entertainers, like they're able to get some sick stuff off with these women, but then they're unable to differentiate between somebody that's with all that and people that aren't. So then in their mind, and this is by no means trying to excuse it, but it's like my interpretation, they think everybody is with it, and they think, oh, because I'm the governor I can do all this, and I think that's like that's makes it even worse.
Yeah, but I mean, if he was smart though, you would know the history. Like I mean, maybe as the governor, he probably seen some sick stuff, and like, well, they got away with it. But as history shows, it never ends well. Like all these people girls end up always coming out, like always.
And I'm also gonna throw frat people under the bus because they're like that too. Where I've seen it where they're like, oh, I'm this now. I'm not gonna put out any specific people because we could put out specific orgs.
No, but yeah, people feel like because they like I've had my own line sisters tell me stories about like how guys.
Oh, but I'm a this.
I'm a Kappa. I'm Alpha.
I wasn't gonna throw any words, but YOLO.
I mean, I'm AK, so I could.
Let's just throw everybody under the bus.
But yeah, it's like I've had like my line sisters tell me stories all the time about stuff like that. Like, oh, like you don't want me? I'm Alpha though.
What that mean? Okay. And people feel like that entitled thing, but
you're so whack.
But that's where I wanted to preface what we were just saying before is like women live a whole different life that I would never experience. Like I've never had that type of advance or anything like that. Like where men can still experience similar things.
Yeah.
I've never had nobody tell me that.
Yeah.
Like they feel entitled to me because of whatever.
But the thing is though, that's where it's like where you saying how some women do go for guys like that purposefully. There are a lot of girls that treated frat guys like you've seen them.
Like celebrities.
I'm like, what is wrong with you girls? It's like weird.
And then
like at every party, look at the cues. Look at the guy. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And then they can't differentiate between the two, which is
probably something crazy.
Which is like a male issue still at the end of the day. But I just feel like this is again one of those situations.
But then it makes like I hate to blame a woman, but then it's like you gas these guys head up.
Nah, we can't put this on women with this situation.
Well, no. I'm talking about like at least with the frat example. Like women, some women are the ones that put in their head that you have to be this to get with me. Like you have to like a lot of women will set so many standards. Like okay, you have to be a Kappa. You gotta make this much. You gotta do this much. Like women will put so much like emphasis on status and titles and salary that a lot of men feel like once they get there, they're entitled to it. It's like I'm not blaming women. Like it's not, at the end of the day, men need to take accountability too. But I feel like we do sometimes feed into that like cycle. Because if we didn't put so much, if we have control. If we didn't put so much emphasis on that, men would feel like they could do anything to get us. But we put a lot of emphasis and pressure.
Luckily, we aren't a large podcast, so the pick me comments are gonna be.
I know. People call me a pick me all the time. When I'm like getting like YouTube comments or like TikTok or like Twitter comments, I end up taking off. I'm a pick me, but like it's not a pick me to hold women accountable. Like this, like we're not perfect, and not everything is men's fault, and that's just my mindset. We're not perfect.
Well, I'm psycho, and I think that most things are men's fault.
Well,
low key.
It's both. I feel like it's more so men's fault. Yes, a lot more issues in society are largely more so from men. But I'd say women do kind of, we do kind of affect things in certain ways too. With some of the things that we do and say. So we kind of feed into the nonsense and don't make things better.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought that it's kind of women's fault for gassing people. That's an interesting thought. I wouldn't have necessarily.
I mean, it's not our fault, but we feed into it. Yeah. Like some guys who feel like them being a Kappa was gonna get them girls. Why do they feel that way? Because they've seen how girls act around them.
Yeah.
So now they're like, ooh, well, once I get a Kappa, I'm gonna get girls. Like we know somebody who like, I'm not gonna say names, but like you feel like once they went Greek, they thought that was gonna be their way in. I mean, it didn't work. It didn't work. But a lot of guys do have that mindset, like, oh, once I,
No, you're still the same person.
You're still the same weirdo. Like, I'm not talking about him specifically. I just mean in general, like guys that were like,
I got letters.
Yeah, like okay, but for a lot of girls that does make a difference. Like there is probably an extra level of attention that you're not used to, and like you as a girl, you will be like in Snapchat or Instagram, like
Yeah,
I'm with him, I'm with so and so now. Like all of a sudden you're cool with him because he got letters. Like there are a lot of girls like that, so that's just like girls do play into it a little bit. Like it's not our fault, but it is like we do kind of gas up a lot of people of status.
it's not
Like
your fault.
I
What do
mean,
you mean by that?
I mean like at the end of the day, it's still how you act as a person. Like saying I'm a so and so, so I should be entitled to you. That's still that man's fault, and he needs to learn on his own that that's wrong. But I'm saying like it's partially our fault that we gas up people for status, and like we put an emphasis on status, like
That's like the interesting dynamic difference between men and women because you never see a guy that talks about a woman's status when he wants to.
which is crazy because I feel like a lot of men of status, they're usually the women that they do end up actually settling down with
Has
and
way
marrying.
lower status.
That, but also they are kind of like they're not like bums.
Yeah.
Like a lot of girls that these guys hook up with are anybody. But a lot of the girls that they like end up wanting the wife usually kind of like they don't have status, but they're kind of like
That's what you mean.
they're not bums.
Yeah, that's
So
what you mean.
girls will throw themselves at these guys and like thinking that they're gonna wife them. Like no, like
Gotcha.
guys really like you don't put an emphasis on it, but you do see the type of guys they wife. Like Jay-Z probably was out here acting a fool, but he wifed Beyonce. Like I don't know, you just see like
That's
like
what you mean.
Kanye and Kim, like you know, like Kanye could wife anybody, but he's gonna wife Kim, like because she's got her money, she got her bag, like she's doing her thing. So I feel like guys don't really put an emphasis on it as far as hooking up because I feel like guys just hook up with anybody who they can. If anything, they put more emphasis and the pressure on how your body looks.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like you said, they don't really set standards the same way girls do. Like I think you guys do, but there's no emphasis on it. Like you don't make it publicly known. Like, oh, I want a girl who's a manager at this company, or I want a girl that makes 6 figures or more. Like you guys don't pay as much of the emphasis.
Yeah, I think that.
But I think you guys want it still, but you just don't talk about it.
I don't even. You know what the funny part is? I don't even think most guys want that. I think that.
Because they like the control
Yeah,
aspect.
they like the control. They want to feel like the man. Like
Yeah. And don't feel less than. Because some guys don't like the girl making more money or being more successful.
yeah, so I don't. I think that guys actually, for the most part, would prefer women to not be of status.
True.
Men just simply want them to look good, and that's it.
Yeah. I would say I think body is like the main.
It's like the pretty much the only thing.
Yeah.
Never heard a man be like, "Yo, she got to make this much salary a year.
Yeah.
She got to
Yeah.
be manager of this."
Yeah.
Never heard it.
I mean, some guys do though. Like
Some
a lot
do.
of really high status males who aren't like insecure will want their wife to be like, oh, I want my wife to be on my level, so we could be a power couple and we take over the world. Like I'm not taking care of no grown adult. Like we gonna take care of each other and we gonna like take over the world. Like, but it depends. Cause like, you have some men out there who are like lawyers and they're like, I want my wife to be a doctor. Or like, oh, I want my wife to be a lawyer too. Like they like that power dynamic of being a power
Yeah, the
couple.
visual. Mm-hmm.
But a lot of guys don't. They like the whole I don't care what my wife do. I'm gonna be the breadwinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Cuomo's.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But
that's
that's
what
what we're
I'm
talking
saying.
about. 'Cause we were talking
Like,
about his
goes all over
status.
the place.
His status as the
The
governor,
entitlement. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and probably feeling like women will be desperate for like a job or something, so they'll be down to do it. Like,
and then you take people like Bill Clinton, for example,
Mm-hmm.
where like you see what was going on there, where it's like,
and it worked for him until she
worked.
snitched.
yeah,
I mean, snitch sounds crazy.
yeah, that's wild. Yeah, that's wild.
That sounded like that was a bad thing. I didn't mean it like that. I didn't mean she snitched, but like she kind of did
Yeah,
like
she spilled the beans.
yeah, which makes me wonder
What her intentions
what
were.
her intentions were, because like
Ooh, I got the president.
was there something you didn't get out of him, and that's why you decided to tell all? Because I feel like I don't know the whole story with that. Did she seduce him? Like what was it? Did he?
I don't know.
I don't know the whole story.
I don't even want to talk about the intricacies of it, but I just mean to highlight like you see the politicians like you're in these work scenarios with people traveling all the time. Like he's
They probably see some sick
yeah,
stuff.
because we were talking about this like with sales, like
Yeah.
the whole sales culture, like traveling
go on
all the
these
time and
business
all these
trips.
trips. The trips for those of you guys who aren't in business, it gets
It
filthy.
gets. I mean, even if you're not in business, I heard teachers be having their conferences. Like, you know,
Oh
remember those
yeah,
conferences? Like, it would be teacher and service days.
yeah.
The teachers are out here wilding at their conferences. I've seen stuff from my own like line sisters and stuff, or like people who I know who are teachers, and they were like, these like conferences actually get crazy. Like, I heard teachers be getting down like nasty. Like,
That's disgusting.
ew. I don't even know what happened with any of my school teachers in high
But I
school.
know sales is worse because like
No, yeah,
you go
because
into
it's more common.
you go into a conference in like Delaware or
Yeah.
like somewhere in wherever you're at. It's like simple. These people like some of these business trips. You're overseas.
Miami,
You're
it's
like
yeah.
it
My
gets
mom been to Miami like twice with business trips.
it gets nuts. Like
Chicago, Atlanta.
my last company was sending people to Aruba.
Yeah. Especially in sales.
Yeah, sales is disgusting. It's turned up.
My mom has some stories with the pharmaceutical sale people. Like she was like those pictures that were coming out and it's like some of the guys like I'm like my mom was like he got a wife and he like his arm like the pictures that came out
Around
his
the
arm was
waist.
on. It's like I don't even know. Yeah. It's some sick
But
stuff.
like this stuff is crazy, and it's like
Every industry where there's titles.
yeah, anywhere where there's some sort of status, it gets crazy.
And like a
'Cause-
power dynamic.
and this goes for like the lower ranked men versus higher ranked women too. Like I don't think that and I don't. It's not even that I don't think. I know for a fact it's not specific even to men being of a higher status. It's women being of a higher status too. It's just that we know the cultural society perception is that men want it. And,
I mean, it's more common just because of the fact that men probably are still more in control. Even though I do feel like I be having all these stats that I don't even have like sources, but I do kind of feel like I remember hearing something about how there's like more CEO women now than men. I don't know,
nah,
or like the numbers were just rising. I don't think it's more.
yeah, it's not definitely not more.
But that's probably why we don't hear the stories because there's more so men in power. So.
Yeah,
But like you said, it does happen with women in power too.
yeah, because I've heard firsthand accounts from people that have experienced these things where it gets crazy. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, he's you know
I mean, at the end of the day,
you got to be held accountable for doing this shit. Like you have to. So
like, just don't do it.
I got another thing I want to talk about, like another thing about males, and hopefully this hasn't come across as like defensive or anything like that, because that's so far from the truth.
Yeah.
Me personally, there's like just a small handful of things that like make me super mad, like in life, like where like I get enraged. Like one of it is like people that are born with like physical disabilities that they have no control over. That shit like kills me inside. And then there's also like men that sexually harass or abuse women. Like yeah, I was gonna say something crazy, but I don't want to say it on camera. But yeah, that puts me in like a dark place when I hear these stories and stuff like that. So no matter what, like he's a nasty man. That shit needs to be corrected. Like men need to get some accountability. I don't believe in the whole cancel culture thing, but I do believe in accountability, and I think that hopefully these public lynchings that I would call them
Like,
start to make people think and understand about the things that they do. But one of the problems is, and this is where it's like such a complex issue, is that for men, and I don't experience this personally because we've been in a relationship for so long, but at one point we were outside, but it makes it difficult to like know how to approach a woman, because so much of what we grew up on, like even when we were like middle school dances and stuff like that, like you go to the club, a woman's dancing, you jump on her, right? Like that was the whole thing. Like, and women like to, you have women that like men that take charge. So now it's like you feel like you got to be aggressive, and like they don't want somebody that's like soft, and it's like it makes it so hard to understand how to approach a woman. Like you don't want
especially because you might come respectful. Like the example you made with the middle school dances. Like I remember like middle school dances was so cringe, but the guy that you had, ew, I remember that.
Yeah.
And then just do the whole.
I mean, like grinding, like people,
no, but I'm saying even if like as an adult, if you go to the club and tap and say, hey, like, can we dance? Some girls might take that well, like, oh, he was respectful, he asked. But some other girls would start snapping.
He touched me.
Like, yeah, who are you? Why are you touching me? Why are you tapping my friend? Like, it's just sad because some girls really, maybe they went through something and they're just very on the fence. Because obviously, I don't think anybody's just angry for no reason. But it's just like, I feel bad for guys because it really is like, for good guys out there who actually like.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like the ones who overthink it so much that they probably end up just not doing anything.
Yeah, it's like,
now you missing out.
How do you approach a woman without being disrespectful or being
in
accused of harassment or like it's just like I would imagine to be a very difficult thing, because you don't want, especially when you're up status, like you don't want something to come out as like,
and you're like, whoa, like that's probably scary. That's why a lot of these guys outsiders, they say they do try to stay away from like,
and people signing NDAs now, like it must be a sad life where you have to sign documents to even talk to somebody.
like just taking you on a date. Because I was like, oh yeah, he took me on a date. He touched my thigh. It's
He
like,
did this, he did that, and
like
then
even the
they're
whole like when you walk past and you put the hand on the back. Like obviously, I think that is kind of like wild. Cause why is your hand on my butt, basically? But it's like for some guys, they might have learned and grown up like that's respectful. But I mean, in some ways, it's kind of like you know what you're doing. Cause that's like an erogenous zone. What's that word?
yeah, erogenous.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
because I've heard like like I said that should be like make me mad. But I've seen recently on Twitter there was a bunch of women talking about how they had that experience with teachers, like in school where they would like touch them and like I'm like, bro.
I mean, I had like teachers that were weird that you kind of like creeped out by. Like we had this teacher, I think in 7th grade. I forgot what his name was, but people used to be like kind of creeped out by him. Like I did have some creepy teachers.
Yeah, but they'd be like, oh, hold them on the lower back, and it's like, bro.
Yeah, that is weird. Like, why are you touching your ears?
Don't touch me. Like, and me being a male, like I don't care what. Like, don't touch me. I don't
Yeah,
even
some
know
teachers
you.
were a little too
The
friendly.
crazy part is like,
Ugh.
and I understand it, but like, there's somebody like that does that at work, and it's like, it doesn't bother me, but it's like,
And like it goes back down to, is that just your cultural thing?
I know
'Cause
it's a
people-
cultural thing.
Some
but
people like touching is a human thing. Like touching is like what we're supposed to do, but it's like you still, I feel like at the end of the day, you still have to have emotional intelligence. Not even emotional intelligence, but you just have to have like
Common sense.
awareness, social awareness.
Yeah.
Like not everybody was raised like you. Some people might be sexually abused, like they might be victims, and now you might be triggering them. Imagine you're at work and you're like this. Now that person having a flashback from maybe a teacher that like abused them, and that's what they used to do. Like you don't know what people go through. You can't just be so like I don't know, like
almost,
thinking about yourself, like kind of selfish.
yeah, almost careless. Like
Like you're not even like aware of other people.
yeah, and like back to my point, like it must be very tough to try to navigate this whole thing because you got people on, especially when you see social media where you're like consuming so many different personalities and so many different things. Where you see like, I just saw 13 women on Twitter talk about how they're with all the shenanigans, but then
Yeah.
like
Like girls would be like, I like when they are rough with me and they grab me
choke
up.
me out, and it's like, okay, well now I think that's what I got to
Yeah.
do, and now you go choke
Now you're in
somebody
the
out.
club and you put your arm around her neck.
Yeah,
And try to pull her close
and
to
now
you.
you're,
And she's
now you're getting
screaming.
arrested.
Yeah.
So that wasn't applicable necessarily to the Cuomo situation, but
It's just like a deeper issue that there's a lot of.
yeah, there's just a lot to talk about. But he's a nasty man. So any of these allegations and things, again, I don't believe in the cancel culture thing, but I do hold people. I do believe people should be held accountable. So if he did things that really hurt a person, then
It makes
you gotta be
somebody
held
feel
accountable.
uncomfortable. Yeah. It's just like, it's so much to unpack because it makes you like wonder what like if any what are women's intentions, like did they just want to be held accountable, did they wait because they were scared, did they feel like it was a good time to attack, like
I would like more.
I don't like victim blaming, so I don't want to make it sound like victim blaming. I just want to know like the mindset. I mean, I guess it's more so fear.
Yeah, I would. And they probably don't want the attention too.
Some of them, because some of them be out here writing books.
Oh yeah, for sure. They profit off of it.
Yeah.
But for
Every talk show.
What I would consider to be true victims,
Yeah.
would be the people who probably don't want to be that person, because now the people that came out, your name is forever attached to this.
You might not be able to do anything.
And that's legacy. Like you talk about anything ever. Like he like, especially if he would have got impeached if he had just resigned. Now your name is like in the history books.
His whole, well, not they did, but he did obviously tainted his whole career. But that's just.
But now your name is attached to it.
That's sad. Yeah, not. Mm-hmm.
Then it's like I would.
Like, can you imagine like Monica Lewinsky? Like that name is literally like.
It's like
it rolls off the tongue. It just sounds cool, like because it's just so ingrained in our society. And like, can you imagine being her? I would change my name. Like you can't do anything. You go get a job, they're like, oh, Monica Lewinsky, just apply. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah. I
mean, like you were saying. Oh wait, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, get him out the office. Like that's what it is. Just men stop being nasty, women stop being nasty, everybody stop being nasty. Ask questions, try to get consent, and that's really all you can do. Just be more upfront, because people are so sheltered, and they trying to, and that's where you get caught up too. It's like you're trying to figure out things, you're trying to put subtle like innuendos and things like that, and that's where it becomes creepy, especially if it's not wanted. But you could just say, hey,
Yeah, I think
I find
being
you,
upfront. Yeah,
yeah, I
like, I
find
think you're
you
cute. I
attractive,
want to get
like
to know you.
blah
Like,
blah blah blah. And if
what are
they
you?
say no, then that's
Yeah,
it. No means no.
like
And
what are your limits? Like, like what do you mind like touching? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, just stuff like that. I mean, it might feel
it's
weird or
weird,
think
but
it's
it
weird,
makes
but
it way better.
yeah. Like, I
And
feel like people are so scared to be upfront these days. Like, just be honest and open. Like, it literally saves so much time and the
and
whole
people need,
stuff.
when people do that, they need to not be then killed
Yeah.
for like being weird or like
Like, oh,
like
he
being deemed
asked
as
me.
weird.
He
Yeah, like
asked me all these weird questions. Like,
it's like
it's
no, just
sad.
be
It's just so
upfront.
hard to do anything nowadays.
But that's the simplest thing. Like, yo, what are you with? What are you down for? Like,
Yeah.
so many, even in our relationship, there's so many things where it's like, okay, what do you like? What do you not like?
Yeah.
What's this? What's that? Like, and then you figure it out,
To
and
work
then
from there.
you just work from there,
Yeah.
and then you don't avoid these situations, and then you don't have this confusion or like you always know where you stand with people because we're so sheltered and never talk about anything. We are like the generation that don't know how to communicate at all, and these are the things that will stem from it. Is a lot of unwanted attention, assaults, and things like that. I feel like a lot of these things, unfortunately, could be avoided if people spoke up.
Yeah.
And yeah, because like even in scenarios, it's like women don't, in those situations, I know out of fear is most of the time, but you know, and that's another thing we can address.
But then it makes you wonder, like,
because
it's
like,
out of fear, but then
they end up saying it.
yeah, but also like, when it's not someone of status, what do you really do? Cause there's a lot of stuff that happens, but it's like you feel like, okay, why am I gonna go report that? Like, what am I gonna do? Like any small situation, like imagine like, what is the girl really supposed to do?
I think that you should use what's available to you. If it really bothered you that much, will you stop over there fighting yourself? Fendi over there fighting himself.
Fendi, stop biting your arm.
Stop biting your arm. Go back to sleep. I think that
He's so cute.
the measures that you should take to like respond to something should be the level of discomfort it made you feel. Like if you felt like that touching like ruined your life, then you should act as if it ruined your life. Go file a police report. Go do these different things.
And
or if you
that
felt
can be
like
held accountable.
or if you felt like it was weird, then you just simply want to tell the person and then remove yourself from the situation, then that's fine too. I think that
it just sucks. There's so many situations that people go through like every day, and it's just like they probably feel like it's not even worth the report. It's like, okay, it didn't really affect me, like whatever.
Yeah, because I know, you know, obviously we're not gonna get into any specifics, but I know situations with you, like and stuff that you've gone through, where it's like there was no action taken at all.
Yeah, it's just like,
but it's still in your mind, like it still exists. It's still
it's not like actively in my mind. Like some stuff, like I'll randomly remember. I'm like I don't even think about it now because like we're talking about it, but like I haven't thought about it in years. Like it didn't affect me that bad. It was weird. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah,
but it was like.
But in those scenarios, like if you felt like it was that crazy, then I don't think it's out of pocket to go report it to the police or like take some drastic measure because you know I'm of the belief that
everybody should be accountable.
And people that rape people should die. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because that's like a sick thing. Like
you're taking something from somebody that like they can't get back.
Mm-mm.
And I feel so strongly about it.
Yeah.
Not that I was, you know, I didn't go through that.
That's why
but I put that on record because
I understand like why dads be going crazy. Like, in court.
Like you saw that
they died too. They get killed.
That like that guy that I was just showing you where he killed his sister's rapist in jail. Mm-hmm. Like that to me is.
Cause you know you grew up with that. You're like that's your sister. Like, you grew up where you know that she went through that. Like
we're not doing that. And I don't believe in the cancel culture. But for real, like that's one of those things that I don't play about. Like yeah, yeah. Yeah. We'll leave it at that before I say it.
We gotta put a trigger warning. But yeah, it's so much to like. At the end of the day, people know what's right and what's wrong, and that's really all that matters. Especially when you're older. But it does make you wonder if some people might not know what's wrong. Like let's say like there's a guy who grew up being like assaulted by his like mom or like aunt, siblings or something, and didn't know it was wrong, and he went out into the world doing stuff that he just thought was normal. That's what he dealt with. Like that's why it's just sad because there's so much. There's just so many different variables with this. Like this could be a long conversation because there's just so many variables.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't expect for us to get to here, but bottom line is he's nasty, and you know.
Yeah. And
this won't be the last time. He
kind of knew what he was doing. Like I feel like he knew what he was doing. He was using his power and his position to his advantage and didn't think anything of it. He probably thought, ooh, maybe if I touch her back, maybe it will
It'll
lead to
lead to
more.
something.
But if I didn't, I'm good.
And I'm not even
I'm in
familiar
the
with
clear.
if he's married or not.
That's what I'm thinking. I think isn't he married?
Yeah, that's even crazier.
Yeah.
Try to explain that to your wife.
Yeah, and I'm sure she's still gonna stick beside him.
Of course, but
And
yeah.
then they
So
got kids too. But
yeah,
yeah,